Andrea Jenkyns, the Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, whatever that is, as a Lincolnshire chap myself I have no idea what that actually means, recently went on Sky News to defend comments by Donald Trump and Nigel Farage and ended up babbling about ducks being eaten in Boston and that it was somehow the fault of foreigners, completely forgetting that the UK has a history of people poaching for food born out of poverty and hunger. It's bad enough when politicians talk nonsense, but when they repeat other people's lies to protect their colleagues, it crosses from being embarrassing to dangerous. In the interview, Andrea Jenkyns was rude, she was arrogant, she interrupted and she talked over people and they got really upset when it happened to her. She was asked if she could confirm that London wasn't run under Sharia law, and this is what she had to say.
Let's not forget that Sadiq Khan's always attacked Trump, even in his first term. They've never had those good relations. So this goes back prior to this second term of government. Regarding the Sharia law comment, we've got...
I mean, it's baloney, isn't it, though? Is it?
But I think it's about perception, actually. Because we've got 85 Sharia courts in Britain.
But the whole point is, like, words in politics matter.
Yeah.
And you can say it's kind of, you know,
well, maybe tell Sadiq Khan that words matter.
But you can sit here and say that Sharia law is not coming to London, can't you? Sorry? Can you sit here and say that Sharia law is not coming to London?
Well, I don't represent London. I don't know, London enough. But it's not. Of course, there's no evidence. But as I said, there's 85 Sharia courts in Britain. There was a BBC article which. A couple of years ago saying that we are the Western capital. But I think it's took out of context in the fact that, you know, Trump's previous advisor, who was your guest previously, he was right. Look at the bigger speech. And I think Trump does want Britain to do well.
Well, wasn't that clear as mud? What she actually meant to say was that she didn't know, but she still managed to defend Donald Trump's smear against Sadiq Khan and London. Then came the big question, Islamophobia. When asked if it exists, she said no, but when she was pressed to define British culture, well, she stumbled through cliches and just waffled this nonsense.
A sense in which Donald Trump is just lashing out without thinking, and that worries me, because he is the president.
No, but don't you think they've got a history of not getting on?
Andrea? Yes. Are you going to interrupt every time I speak?
Well, we are allowed to have a discussion.
Really, it's called a debate, isn't it?
Andrea, let's pick up on this idea about Islamophobia.
Bizarre thing to say.
Islamophobia. Do you believe that's a thing, being Islamophobic?
No, I don't, because look, I mean...
You don't believe it?
No.
I mean, Lee Anderson today tweeted saying that he thinks there's no such thing.
No, I mean, look, you get races in society, which, you know, we should always call them out, wherever racism is directed. Of course we should. But, you know, we are a country built on tolerance. But also it's about, I do believe, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. I mean, look, I performed in...
What on earth does that mean?
But it's about adopting our culture as well. I mean, look...
How would you describe our culture, then? Well, please try and describe it.
Our culture is, it's about celebrating being British as well.
With you there.
Well, why...
And Sadiq does as well. Sadiq celebrates being British.
So
he's the mayor of the capital city.
So you're interrupting me now,
yeah,
so
because
that's
you said it was a debate, and you said what an odd thing to do. So I'm following your rules now, Andrea. And I would like to say, I would like to ask you, you're absolutely right, you can't, because London is a fantastic city. It is the capital city of the United Kingdom. Sadiq is a patriot. He is proud of our country. So Lee Anderson wants to call him out and say that he's wrong to call him Islamophobic. Well, what is wrong with that?
I'd say calm down, actually. Yeah.
Love.
No,
but just on a serious...
And then it moved over to paracetamol. Now, Donald Trump claimed paracetamol causes autism. Now, instead of dismissing it, Jenkins proudly said that she Googled a Guardian article that suggested that there may be a link. She used a last-minute Google search to cast doubt on decades of medical research.
I have no idea. You know, we were told thalidomide was a very safe drug, and it wasn't. Who knows? Nick, I don't know. You don't know. He has a particular thing about autism, I think because there's been some in his family, and he feels it very personally. I have no idea.
You wouldn't side with the medical experts who say it's dangerous nonsense?
I wouldn't. When it comes to science, I don't side with anybody.
Right.
Look, I mean, I think you've got to have discussions. Look, I'm neurodiverse, my son's neurodiverse, and I'm very passionate about send children and giving those chance in life. But you've got to have discussions, and like Nigel, I agree we haven't looked at the evidence. We don't know what Trump's seen. I think there's nothing wrong with actually putting it out there.
But there's also nothing wrong with, because politics matters, and again, what politicians say matters. There's also nothing.
But we don't
wrong.
know what research is seen.
Well, yeah, but Nigel Farage, instead of saying, "Well, I don't know anything," wouldn't he be right to say, "Well, let's follow the advice of the country's senior medical officials"?
No, but I mean,
isn't that what?
No, but I was just, when we knew he was doing this topic, I quickly Googled, and there was a Guardian article which quoted saying that that recent studies show that pregnant women who take paracetamol, they're slightly more likely to have a child with autism.
Well, I mean,
so I don't know what.
Lots of different
no,
studies.
I'm just saying. So yeah.
But we also know that most medical experts don't necessarily agree with that outcome. And we also heard from
I'm
Michael
just looking
Gove.
at a Guardian article.
Well, but we also heard from Michael Gove last night, who very interestingly said that actually autism, there are a lot of people with autism.
But don't you think we ought to look actually in drugs full stop and the impacts? I think that's important.
No, because that's what scientists do, not necessarily.
But I think the pharma have become too powerful, and we've got to make sure we actually look at long-term effects.
The term autism was coined in 1911 to describe a symptom of schizophrenia, then later adapted in the 1940s to describe another set of distinct conditions. This was all well before paracetamol hit the shelves in the 1950s. Farage backed up his friend Trump, saying he doesn't necessarily believe scientists, opting to believe taxi drivers instead. Obviously, nobody in Reform dares to go against the Führer, Nigel Farage. When asked about migrants eating swans, more Farage bollocks already debunked by the Royal Parks, Jenkyns tried to save her glorious leader by saying ducks were eaten in Boston 10 years previously, which was obviously clearly the work of immigrants.
But the problem here is, Andrew, there's now a pattern of Reform politicians saying things that, frankly, the people who are actually at the front line of these things go, there's no evidence for this.
But can I just say, look, I was a councillor in Boston, and there was a serious issue with our ducks on the river with them being stolen and eaten. It is a fact. Come to Boston, ask the local people.
I mean, I don't know about the case in Boston, but in this case
and that's going back 10 years ago.
there is clearly no evidence.
Well, clearly, would you like to come to Boston?
Andrea?
Are you doing yoga there or something? You know, to try and calm yourself from, speaking on a panel with somebody who's in Reform? I mean, a very bizarre reaction you have there.
Andrew, but there is no evidence for this. You accept that? I mean, the people literally...
I've seen evidence in Boston myself 10 years ago of the ducks.
We're not talking about Boston. We're talking about swans in royal parks. Your leader went on the radio and said he had heard, or he...
Well, he'd heard.
Yeah, but you can't just go around saying you've heard stuff, can you?
Apparently you can. Apparently you can. The Royal Parks, who run the park, said there was absolutely no evidence of this. It is extraordinary.
What do you think they'd actually want to put that out there?
And there you have it, Andrea Jenkyns there finishing on a potential conspiracy by suggesting that the Royal Parks do not want to release the information that immigrants are eating swans in case it causes some form of controversy, I guess. They have come out and said that there is no evidence of that whatsoever, but obviously she's now suggesting that they're probably creating a cover-up. And then she decided to talk about ducks, how ducks disappeared 10 years ago, and that must be at the hands of immigrants. She didn't say it was particularly immigrants, but she has sort of said it to sort of point at that. Obviously, there's never going to be any British people are going to be pinching ducks, even though we are in a cost of living crisis. Poverty is quite high, people have no money, food banks are at an all-time high, and Britain does have a history of poaching, but it could never be a British person. It has to be a foreigner of some kind. So I want to say thank you very much for watching, hit that like button, and I'll see you again in another video.